All right, everybody, welcome back to Stinker, Drinker, Thinker. We're three guys. We pour some pours and make some cocktails, and we rank them in this awesome ranking system we've developed known as the Stinker, Drinker, or Thinker. It's the God's honest truth about what we think about what we're drinking, and it's as simple as that. Tonight we're going to get into some Japanese whiskey, but a couple things I want to talk about first. First and foremost, my name is Anthony Longano. I'm your host. I am joined by my beautiful, charming friend, Troy the Body Vigliotti. Troy, please say hello to the crowd.
Well, hello. It's great to see you all.
We have a live studio audience. No, we don't. And then there's also Matt McKibble. Matt.
Konnichiwa.
Hey, happy Hanukkah to you.
Yeah,
I think by the time this episode is out.
This comes out, I don't know when it's coming out, but maybe.
Yeah, well, yeah, sorry. Troy's,
half
Troy's,
to you.
Yeah, half Hanukkah to you, Troy. Happy holidays to everyone out there. Speaking of holidays, if you're following along on Instagram, we are doing a awesome holiday giveaway that is all month long. I think we're in week 2 of it now by the time this episode comes out. So I think that's a badass. Is that the whiskey mini bottles week?
That'd be the first week.
Well,
the
no,
second week
yeah.
would be that,
Yep.
the airplane.
So last week
stuff.
we gave away $750 worth of Matt's whiskey. It was this awesome 12-day calendar that Matt poured 1 ounce samples from his collection. It's awesome. I've been diving into my own, which you've probably seen on Instagram. A couple of our friends purchased some from Matt, and we gave one away. So congratulations to whoever picked that one up. This week we're giving away a bunch of airplane bottles. It's a stocking full of airplane bottles. I think it's this week, either that or it's the cocktail smoker. I'm pretty sure it's this week that we're doing the airplane bottles.
Stay tuned to Instagram. You'll find it.
Yeah, it's on Instagram, but if that is what's going on, it's pictured over here on the table. It's a Courage and Conviction sample set from Virginia Distilling. There is some Willett stuff in there. There's some Balcony stuff in there. There's some Teeling stuff in there. And then next week we're giving away some cocktail smokers and a bottle of McKenna coming up and all that. But big grand prize drawing on January 1st. We're giving away a bottle of Weller 12. So just make sure you guys are following along, following the rules, and participating in that. We appreciate all the support there. But yeah, Matt.
Me?
What are we doing today?
I think we're going to dive into a little bit of brief history and tasting through some Japanese whiskey.
Japanese whiskey.
Japanese whiskey.
I feel so honored. I literally know nothing about Japanese whiskey.
Well, me neither.
Not a single thing.
This is why we have a disclaimer. I believe is going to be in full effect today.
Yes, the disclaimer of the pod, everybody. We speak in absolutes 100% of the time. I'm going to say today we're going to be 99% wrong about all
accurate.
of those things.
And pronunciations,
Yeah.
I'm going to skip a lot of that.
We're gonna try our best here, but we know nothing about Japanese whiskey. We're pretty big on bourbon, single malts, and ryes, but Japanese whiskey, it's at least out of my wheelhouse. Matt probably knows a little bit, and I think Troy probably knows the most of it, and he probably doesn't know shit. But yeah, what are we getting into, man? What'd you bring?
So, I guess we can start. You want to get into a little bit of the history, I suppose. I know you're a big history guy, but so mid 1800s is kind of when Japanese whiskey started, but it didn't actually get its first distillery until like 1923-ish, and that was with Yamazaki. So they sent a guy over to Scotland to kind of learn a lot about Scotch and designing whiskey. And I'm going to mispronounce the name, so I'm not even going to try. Taketsuru, something like that.
Nice try.
Which probably got that wrong. Taketsuru?
Well, that sounds accurate in terms of pronunciation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Probably got it right.
Taketsuru.
Do you speak Japanese?
No, but
I know you're
worked
fluent.
I worked at a Japanese restaurant for 2 years.
Yeah, so you probably have some sort of idea. Yeah.
Morimoto-san.
Yeah. Was that the name of the restaurant?
Morimoto.
Yeah. Where was that?
That was in Philly. That was his first U.S. restaurant.
Oh, cool. Nice. All right.
So so he goes over to Scotland, learns a lot about making Scotch, comes back over to Japan, has a business partner, Mr. Tori. You probably guess where this is going.
Okay.
They create Yamazaki and essentially Suntory brands. Taketsuru decides that he wants to pursue, rather than readily available stuff, he wants to make the best whiskey. He doesn't really care about, like, Suntory is kind of all about making something approachable, everyday drinker kind of thing. And he's like, nah, I kind of want to make the best whiskey I can make. So he goes off, he makes Nikka Distillery, and then they kind of become rivals, essentially. So they're still the two biggest.
Sounds like
distillers.
Buffalo Trace in Japan.
Kind of,
Right?
yeah. They're the two biggest distillers.
Why, whiskey's supposed to bring people together. It just seems like everyone's always fucking fighting over it.
I think it's like they're like the Japanese culture. Everyone's very nice and like everything. They're probably like very friendly.
Just gave him like the subtle middle finger before he moved a block away to make his own whiskey.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. But he moved, I think, across the country. But
Yeah.
but yeah.
It's a
So
big country too.
they are still the two biggest distilleries, which is why we brought one of each of their stuff.
Does Centauri own a bunch of American distilleries too?
They own some stuff. Yeah. Yep. So I think Jim Beam, I
Yep.
believe, and other stuff. So they're a huge
Yeah.
name just in whiskey in general. But the reason I brought the third one here is we can kind of talk about it if you, I don't know if you want to do that one first or last. But
What's your feeling on
is
it? Do you think it's
Japanese
going to be
whiskey?
the
I think it's
worst?
going to be terrible.
Okay.
So I think if you want to start with it,
Might as well start with the terrible one.
get out
I
of the
think,
way.
right?
But
Yeah.
the reason I brought it, and you can kind of see probably in the camera if we pan to it, is how ridiculous the bottle is. It's one of those purchases I bought knowing it's going to be terrible because how cool the bottle was. But the point of bringing it is to see what maybe people's perception is of Japanese whiskey based on what they see in the store. So Japanese whiskey is kind of a loose term currently. It doesn't really officially mean anything. Starting in 2021, the main, I think it's like distillery group, kind of how we have like the single malt distillery, whatever thing that is. They want to come up with rules of what Japanese whiskey is. So they actually set a deadline for any new product starting in 2021. They had to have certain limitations, kind of like Scotch, kind of like bourbon, and that kind of stuff.
Right.
But for existing products, it doesn't start until 2024. So if there's currently a product on the market, it can still say Japanese whiskey, but most Japanese whiskey you see in the store is actually just imported, either Scotch or well whiskey somewhere, brought in Japan, because the only stipulation currently is it's bottled in Japan. So as long as you bottle in Japan, you can call it Japanese whiskey. You can export it back to wherever, sell it as trash, and then you get bottles like this.
I think I read a stat one time that said that 60% of the world's whiskey is consumed in Japan.
They were drinking like 3 liters per person per some. It was just like they're insane, like going hard on whiskey for a while.
It's pretty wild.
Yeah,
I read India's number one right
Oh yeah, India is number one.
Yeah.
But Japan's up there too. Maybe
now.
I
I would
thinking of
imagine
India.
Japan is up there.
Yeah.
yeah. Their taste is like different because like the people say like, what does Japanese whiskey taste like? And a lot of people will say, well, it kind of tastes like their food. So Japanese food.
I've always got that. It's like it's aged in soy sauce barrels or something.
Well,
like
kind of.
Yeah.
But it's more delicate and refined, and it's not about the big bold flavors. It's about the subtlety and the nuance, and really enjoying it and sitting with something and kind of not meditating on it, but kind of picking intricacies out rather than just big bold flavors that hit you in the face. So a lot of the stuff is really low proof, and it's just a lot more thinky than most whiskeys are. So.
all right.
So I don't know where you want to start. I can tell you I've opened the first one, and we'll see if you. Yeah.
Well, how much did you pay for it?
I think it was like 120-ish.
Yeah.
100.
Really?
I
And
literally
And you're
bought
probably
it.
paying $60 for the fucking cap.
I literally bought it because I said, my wife's like, are you sure you want to buy that? I'm like, it's going to be terrible. It's like, why do you want to buy it then? Because look at the bottle.
Yeah,
It's
it
so
looks
cool.
awesome. It looks awesome.
You can find a Costco. They have them at Costco sometimes. But I think we should start with that.
I'm afraid to even hold that thing.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
Oh, no,
yeah, Matt, you pour that.
No,
Yeah.
I know. You have to experience it, Troy. It's amazing.
Really?
So, yeah, here we go. So, the helmet comes off.
Oh, that's not
So that's
bad.
like the
Okay. That was the most intimidating part.
and then it has a collar on it to pass these pieces around.
Dude, you could fucking stab somebody with
know.
this, dude. This is wild. This is aluminum.
I know. It's insane.
Wow.
So,
This guy-
nobody really knows what this is. So I've been doing
What's
a lot
in
of
the bottle,
research.
you mean?
Yeah,
Okay.
doing a lot of research on it.
That's scary.
I'm pretty sure it's just like really shitty Scotch that was imported.
Oh, my favorite.
it was barreled somewhere else, and then they import. Hold on 1 second, and then they exported it as Japanese whiskey. They do
even
say it
like
was
good
finished
Scotch.
or it was aged in Mizunara oak, which is obviously the Japanese oak, which are minimum 200 years old per barrel, which is crazy.
So you remember what it tastes like?
I remember it being heinous, but I was also
Lord.
I was just
We'll starting to feel better from our Thanksgiving plague. It was like we celebrated the real Thanksgiving, guys. Everyone there got sick.
Yeah.
Someone had to go to the hospital.
I don't know if we can say that.
I've been sick ever since.
I'm really nervous. I'm gonna.
It's fine. I don't know if it's a glass cork or if it's. Oh, it's just regular cork. You're fine. Oh, a little splash.
You got some down the shirt there, bud. You're gonna have a little on your nips for later.
Ooh.
It won't be that bad, but it'll be all right.
Yeah, I mean, you said it was anus. So.
I said heinous.
Oh, I heard anus.
Oh, okay. No, so the point of bringing this, I know it's probably not going to be the best drink we've ever had, or hopefully it's okay. But literally, the point is just to show when people buy Japanese whiskey, and people are like, oh, I don't like Japanese whiskey. This is probably what they're thinking of. It's just Scotch. Or some sort of other whiskey that was labeled Japanese whiskey. It's not actually Japanese whiskey, so we'll see.
You know what's a good way to cleanse your palate? Smell your microphone. Smelt this, and then I smelt the microphone by mistake.
Pour whiskey on top of it.
Well, that would ruin what I'm saying.
So this is, I don't know, Troy, if I never actually said what it is. So this is Yamato, I believe it's Shingen. Is it Shingen edition? Yeah, Shingen edition.
Shingen edition.
Which is just means, I think it's the name of the topper, essentially. They have different toppers and different things. Some, I've actually heard some of these actually are good. They have higher end, I think, age-dated ones. But
For more money than
yes,
the 100 and whatever.
$130-ish, whatever it was. But, it's a cool piece to have in a bar, I suppose.
This just smells like I fell off the swing set on the playground and got an elbow scrape.
All I remember
Band-Aids and
all I remember is acetone and like rubbing alcohol, and that's really all I remember of tasting notes from the first one. So we'll see. Not to influence you anyway, but
yeah, well, fuck it.
kind of hits me in the back of the eyes a little. Just a little
Back
bit
of
when
the
I-
eyes, my favorite place.
I don't know what. Do you get a chemical smell?
I do. That's what I was meaning by like Band-Aids.
Yeah.
And what's the proof on this?
80.
It's a little spicy for 80.
Really?
It's really not unpleasant. The nose is probably the most unpleasant part.
I think Haney's is a bit of a stretch, Matt.
Well, I was drinking next to a very nice Scotch.
Okay.
I brought it just as a try, but
Okay.
You know how we use that word medicinal sometimes?
Yeah.
Usually when we say medicinal, I think of like syrupy or like Robitussin-esque. When I say medicinal here, it literally smells like a bandage locker at a hospital. And it kind of tastes like if you were licking a bandage.
what's the what is the chemical you put on stuff for is it cut stuff that bubbles a little bit?
That's what I was talking about. Hydrogen peroxide?
Hydrogen peroxide.
That's what I was talking. That's why it smells like I fell off the playground.
Yeah,
like,
it smells like
yeah.
okay, I get what you're saying now.
And
The
like
hydrogen peroxide.
and like that burn, it's kind of got like that sizzle on the end too on your tongue. Like the finish is really weird and like it's like a foamy, fast bubbling bitterness, and it's just a little hot for 40 proof. The mid palate's really not that bad, but overall, I just feel like I ate a Band-Aid right now. There's nothing like absolutely outstanding.
I think we had this side by side with a more like the Glenmorangie or like the I forget blue. It's a blue
Signets or
box. It's
something?
like a state or something like that. Whatever there was, it's just like oh my god, so good. And then I don't know.
Yeah, not a fan.
Probably just my memory. Troy, you have any thoughts? You haven't said a single thing. What do you think?
Well, I honestly don't really think it's offensive. I'm not thrilled with it, but nothing about it is going to convince me that it's a stinker, believe it or not. I mean, so the nose is very savory, which, whether or not it's true Japanese whiskey or, trying to emulate Japanese whiskey, like Japanese whiskey for me is like you were saying, the more refined, subtle, and oftentimes earthy and savory. In the grand scheme of whiskey in general, like you don't get those same sort of redeeming qualities or the same sort of sweet aromas or flavors that you get from American whiskeys that like jump out at you. Like this is one that you kind of have to really search for and let it come to you. But there is like on the palate, I mean, it has like just like sweet grain, sort of like sweet, like I don't know, just like candied barley. I don't know how better.
Candied barley. Interesting.
Yeah, it's like you get the grain. It's like a toasty sort of,
Yeah.
you know, mildly nutty sort of a thing. It's not sugar. It's not caramel. It's not like vanilla or anything like that. And overall, it's fine. I'm gonna call it a drinker because it's 80 proof, for God's sakes, and you know, and that's it. That's it.
Do you think? I mean, obviously, you're paying for the bottle here.
Yeah, which
ridiculously overpriced, correct?
absurd, completely fucking absurd.
Okay,
completely. Yeah,
It's like a $19 bottle of whiskey.
that's yeah.
I would call it a $40 to $50 bottle.
Wow,
I really would.
That's actually honestly surprising to hear. Yeah,
I would. Yeah,
interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the nose is very off-putting. The only part I like is the initial taste, and then it gets really hot, and then it tastes like a Band-Aid. And I really can't be any more specific than that. I don't want to finish it. It's not god-awful. It's not god-awful. I don't know, man. I've never made a Japanese whiskey cocktail. I'm sure there are some out there,
Sure.
but that's what that would end
A
up
highball,
being.
Japanese highball.
Yeah. Not a fan. NOT.
NOT.
That's just it's just a stinky whiskey that reminds me of a hospital closet. Sorry.
No, that's kind of fair. I said it was not as bad as when I remember it being. So I'm definitely tried not to be too hard, although it was definitely. I still don't enjoy the aftertaste. Is honestly what does it for me. Smell I don't prefer. It's just something lingers that is that kind of like I think it's acetone like something.
Yeah,
just doesn't do it for me. Yeah, I'm just gonna go stink. I'm just gonna go stinker. I'm just gonna do it. The bottle's cool. I really genuinely like the bottle.
The bottle is cool. I remember I was excited
bottle.
when you bought it. You texted it to me.
Comes in this ridiculous box. It's just like it's really cool. But
whatever. It'll look nice on your shelf for the next 40 years.
I like the bottle enough that I'm okay with buying it. Yeah. I bought it as an ornament. Let's be honest.
Yeah, hang it from a tree. See what happens. I need a cracker break. After that, I need to eat a cracker.
Right.
Is that all right?
That's fine. We can do that.
Cracker break.
Cracker break. Cracker break brought to you by Yeasty Boy Bread Company, the best crackers this side of the Mississippi and this side of the Atlantic Ocean.
Okay.
This cracker break's brought to you by, I don't know if it's a pun, it's a joke, it's something. Hey, Troy.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what genre of music are national anthems?
They're national anthems. I'm not Troy.
No.
Country. Come on! The country music. It's funny!
One more.
There's a triple. That triple whammy? I just imagine like
even Susie's laughing at you.
I just imagine like like you're at some game show. Yeah. Circle gets the square.
Ready? Yeah. I hate that pitch.
All right. So
let's
get into some good Japanese whiskey. So I guess we'll just start with Yamazaki, first distillery, oldest distillery in Japan. Their classic at this point is their 12-year, kind of hard to find, but still findable relatively easily-ish.
Really? Cheaper than the Samurai
Yeah,
guy?
you can get at Binny's and stuff now. It's cheaper, but not much. I think it's $100 MSRP. It's like you can find it for $115-ish. It's kind of what most people are charging for it. Yeah. Troy's probably had a lot more experience with this than I do. So,
I've had a good amount of experience with it, but I mean, the first time I had it was probably like 10 years ago at this point. But it was far more readily available and half the price.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like it wasn't a big deal. It was just like, this is, the first sort of foray into the world of Japanese whiskey. Suntory's Yamazaki 12, like that was the staple. Yep. So, and I've always loved it.
It's probably one of the most well-regarded, just because it's got the history, it's got the age statement. A lot of their older age-stated stuff is either impossible to find, or it's super, super, super expensive. So I think this is the first age-stated one that's kind of available, which is why it's probably so popular. So this is Suntory Distillery making Yamazaki, or Suntory Group. And this is the Yamazaki.
Ooh.
So this will be probably classic Japanese. If you're actually thinking Japanese whiskey, where the other one was imported, whatever, this is actual Japanese whiskey.
It's kind of got like a honey barley thing going on.
Got like a little melon.
It smells delicious.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just like, it is such a drastically different nose. Like, it's fruity, it's sweet. It's actually got complexity to it. Doesn't smell like a dirty Band-Aid.
I absolutely love the nose. I think I'm going to hate the taste, but we'll see.
It's possible.
What's the proof?
43.
Okay.
%. For all you who don't know, you just double the %, and that's the proof.
The more you know.
A fun fact. It smells like fruity scotch. What about? Like a Highland scotch.
Maybe that bandage thing is just a Japanese thing.
You get it too?
Yeah, a little bit. Not as much. This is way bolder, way more flavor. There's still like this weird burn that I'm not used to with an 80 proof whiskey, but
Which is not this.
what is this one's
43.
So it's same as Blanton's.
yeah.
86, yeah. Blantones.
Blanton's not 86. Is
Yeah.
it? It's right there.
96?
I think it's 96.
94? 96?
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, my bad. Same as what? Something like Michter's does something. That's,
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's
If
one
bourbon's
we had
over
bottles
90.
for reference. I don't know.
Yeah, it's very interesting. It's very spicy. I don't know if that's me. It's not off-putting. It's not scotchy.
You don't think so?
I mean, obviously it's barley forward. Like I can see why it would be
Single malt.
reminiscent of a single malt, right? Like, but because it is.
Mm.
But there is some weird kind of like smoke thing on the nose, but it's almost like a chemical smoke.
If someone said it was super ultra lightly peated, would you believe it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is it sherry finished or no? I honestly don't know.
That's actually a good question.
I mean,
they have a sherry finished one. I don't know if this
I don't
they?
think that one is. No,
Okay.
No, I think the sherry finished one is like the one that was named like whiskey of the generation or something.
I feel like if
ridiculous.
it was sherry finished, I'd probably enjoy it much more. It does got like a nice little honeycomb thing, but then like it's got like this subtle hint of smoke.
I don't think it's peated. I know the hakushu that they make is
Yeah.
peated. Which
Yeah, it's really confusing if you're looking. They have like a lot of things that are just blank 12.
Yeah.
And it kind of sounds like all similar names. It's just like it's very complicated to search.
It's very burny.
Really?
I had a friend who I have a friend who I saw post. I think I even talked to him like a month ago or so. He had worked for Morimoto for like 15 years, and then he was working for the restaurant group, and then went to work for him privately. Like Morimoto had opened a ton of restaurants around the world, and he got to travel a bunch. And he tried the Yamazaki 55.
It's 55 years old.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude, it's
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah,
What is that, like 2 mil?
I don't know.
$2 mil a pour?
Those go for tens of thousands of dollars.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't actually gotten a chance to ask him like how it tasted, but yeah, that's just crazy.
He told you that he drank 55-year-old whiskey and you didn't ask him how it tasted?
No, it was I talked to him after the fact about something else, but I think I saw it through social media.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So like
yeah, I definitely
you did.
would have.
He didn't like tell you, hey Troy, I drank 55-year-old whiskey, and then you changed the subject.
He wouldn't fucking.
So anyway,
Yeah. Okay.
So anyway,
That's
my
right.
dog was either trashed the other day.
And I don't have a dog. It was me. But anyway, I don't know, man. This is oddly complex in a way that I'm not used to. I don't really know how to dissect Japanese whiskey. This is a very new experience for me. I think I've only ever had 2 other Japanese whiskeys before. But I will tell you, the nose is very pleasant, and it does. I'm telling you, it's got like there's just like a faint little hint if you're trying to like start a charcoal grill and you're putting too much like chemical lighter fluid on it to get it going, like not lighting it the right way, type of thing. Like there's just a little reminiscent of that, and I don't know if that's a peat process or if it's just maybe the way it's finished. Maybe it's the barrel. I don't know. Maybe that's Japanese oak. Who knows? I can't tell you what it is. I'll tell you that the when I get it in, it's pleasant, but it's like it's just like an odd off-putting heat or burn, and it's like a spiciness more than anything. It's not like hot like proof hot, but I don't not enjoy it. I think I'm just gonna call it a. I mean, I don't even know. I think I'm just gonna have to call it a thinker.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And it's not. I mean, it's not that complex, but I don't really know what to say. So that means I'm thinking about it, and it doesn't suck. So
yeah.
Do you have any similar memories of like Bunnahabhain 12 or anything like that, or like similar like that?
I liked Bunnahabhain 12 way more than this. I think
that was more oily. I think
Yeah.
This is oily in a different way. That was more lush.
Yeah,
This is definitely a lot more like pretty.
I would say that's like light and crisp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing that I don't know specifics, but pH levels in terms of the water in Japan and certain parts of Japan is why Japanese whiskey and Japanese, fish, sushi, and all that stuff is so incredibly prized. And I know that there's like elegance to it and like the minerals and whatnot in ways that you won't find in other like pH levels in waters and the U.S. and whatnot.
I probably
It's like pizza in New Jersey.
I was probably getting my cities wrong, but if I recall, they originally wanted to set up a plant. I think it's in Hokkaido.
Hokkaido would make perfect
because
sense.
the water and the environment is so much closer to Scotland.
Yeah.
Than where I think they ended up wherever they end up settling. But yeah, that's interesting. They were looking for like the Scotland of Japan to kind of set up. So
Interesting.
Yeah.
Hokkaido, if I'm not mistaken, geographically is further north, and it's where like the best sea urchin in the world comes from.
Makes sense.
And it's just I don't know, just like it's like a different terrain than the rest of the country and the rest of the world.
Yep.
But yeah, the prettiness, like to your point, like there's a thinness to this whiskey.
Yeah, sure.
There's
And I think that's pretty characteristic of most Japanese whiskeys, at least that I've tried. And you can even tell just by like color and pigment and things like that. Like
exactly.
It's a little more translucent than what whiskey is normally. Yeah.
What's interesting they were saying about Mizunara. I don't think this is finished in Mizunara. I could be.
I was gonna say, yeah. I would imagine.
Didn't when we were at Buffalo Trace and we were in the Rick House and they were talking about the experimental series, did they say that Mizunara pulls more out?
So
like the barrel, it's so porous that the barrel consumes so much more of it that maybe and it kind of does leave it a little thin.
Which is interesting because they say like. The reason that Mizunara was thought of as a lesser wood because people didn't use it because of the first couple of years apparently it's not good. Like it just doesn't taste as good.
Interesting.
But then after like I think they said like 15 or 20 years, it's significantly better.
After like it's seasoned and they're turned into staves, like it's got.
Well, like 20 years of sitting in the barrel apparently is so much better than a couple. The first couple
of an
years.
Actual spirit sitting in the barrel.
That is like it's. I don't know how it works, and I don't know the science, and this is kind of what I'm hearing. But yeah, it's just the first couple of years that people are like, and that's why people are like, it's a lesser wood. It's not like European whatever.
Yeah.
Is that why
oak.
it's like 4 times more expensive?
Right.
Than,
well, also it has to be 200 years old to cut down to make
Exactly.
into a barrel, which is also another part of it. But yeah, like they're like the sweet spot. It like begins at like 15, 20 years.
Interesting.
Like, so.
And this is what 12?
That's 12. I don't know, and I don't know if this is finished in Mizunara or not. But
oh sure. I thought that was just kind of like the staple. I guess you talked about this at the top of the episode. There's really no regulations on how you can make Japanese whiskey. So
the only thing currently is that
it has to be made in Japan.
It has to be bottled in Japan.
Bottled. It doesn't even have to be made.
Correct.
So they can fucking source stuff from NGP,
Correct.
which is coming up in a future episode, and then bottle it in Japan, and it's Japanese.
Yes,
whiskey.
currently starting for new products. 2021, but for any new for existing products, it has to be 2024.
Well, I'm sorry, that just sounds fucking dumb.
Well, that's why they're trying to make rules.
I know we have a couple listeners over in Japan. Change that.
They are.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm not
them personally. Okay.
changing. Anyway.
But yeah, so they think that by 2024, when the rules go in because for their distribution or whoever's handling all that, it'll soon become law after that. And once it becomes a law, then they actually can enforce penalties, and then that will kind of take more effect. So currently, it's still kind of a loose thing, but there will be at least some regulation.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I think you're
again, we're 99% wrong about all that.
Yeah.
Or right, who knows?
Just based on
Never know.
Googling. So,
Yep.
but I don't think So I'm going, just to wrap this up, I think I'm going thinker as well. I think I could be convinced thinker drinker, but I think I'm actually, hold on.
I think I could be convinced as well, but I'm going to stay put.
So yeah, I'm going thinker drinker actually. It is just light enough, and I could drink an entire glass of that and be fine, totally cool with it.
Same.
So I'm actually going thinker drinker.
Okay. Yep. Same. Thinker drinker. I think this is worthy of going into the infinite drinker.
Okay. I mean, yeah.
But
that's not the only reason why you're giving it the drinker's
it's not,
stamp, is it?
No.
Okay.
I was actually initially toying between just calling it a drinker straight up.
Yeah.
So I was.
This is more your style, though, like
yeah.
with whiskey, I feel like.
Yeah.
Not that Japanese whiskey or, scotches and shit like that is more up your style. I think anything that's brown, you'll drink it.
Yeah, but I love
shit water, but
I love Scotch from the Highlands, and I feel like this definitely has some of those qualities to it. I also traditionally love Japanese whiskey and Japanese food.
The nose on here reminds me of I think it was did we do another single malt distillery from Washington State on here?
Westland and then Westward.
Westward.
I think
the nose on here kind of reminds me of that Westward one.
Interesting.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, it is more Scotchy single malty than, because it is obviously, but then we drink on here normally. So
yeah,
no cork, huh?
Nope.
No
twister.
Yeah. As we learned from, I think it was Cody who told us that. Just oh my god, dude!
It's the first Japanese in the decanter.
Dang. But yeah, I always thought anything good had to have a cork, but I learned that was not the case. So
no.
Well, if you didn't love that one, Anthony, I think you might. This might be your thing, which is why I brought.
I didn't hate it.
I know.
I didn't dislike it. I didn't love it.
But we're moving on to Nikka, which, like I said before, is the guy who learned originally.
He's the E.H. Taylor of Japan.
Yeah, and he said, "I'm going to make the better product. You can make the more drinkable product. I want to make the better product, essentially." And so he set off.
Let's hope he did a better job than E.H. Taylor did.
We'll see. So let's see. I'm gonna mispronounce this. There's no way I'm pronouncing this right, but this is single malt Miyagikyo. Oh my gosh, nope. Miyagikyo.
Troy, give it a whirl there, bud.
It's actually really not that hard. Miyagikyo.
Yeah, sure. Not the problem. Not hard at all.
That's what happens when you work at a Japanese restaurant in Philly.
Yeah, in Philly. Yeah, where they
handmade in
all
Philly.
The Japanese come.
That was.
They come in the restaurant.
All right. Anyway, moving on.
Like through the front door.
Jesus.
On the table.
So, if Troy wants to look at that bottle, tell us about it a little bit.
Do. Yeah, 90 proof. We did do a sample of this one, right?
We tried this to possibly put in the calendars, and we said.
And what did we? Yeah, what
was we voted that it was not idealistic.
Don't spoil it.
No. It's not in there.
Okay.
We voted. We wanted something more representative of Japanese whiskey, which we put there. So.
And we did Nikka from the barrel on the March Madness.
Which I didn't bring that one either.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which, according to the new rules we're talking about, is not going to be
Japanese whiskey
soon anyway. But
where is it bottled? In Scotland?
I think it's a blend of other things. From the barrel doesn't necessarily mean it's barrel. It's not like single barrel. So yeah.
The whole label's a lie then.
Well, it's not. It's translated. That's not what it means.
The whole label.
The whole label is a lie. Cake is a lie.
Nikka's not even real either. Probably dead.
Made up, yeah.
Dead as fuck, dude.
It says that there's a strong sherry cask influence.
Yeah.
Oh hell yeah.
Which is why I picked this one.
So how do you influence whiskey to taste like a sherry cask without putting it in a
it's
sherry cask?
I think
you
it's
just stand outside with like sherry staves, and you're like,
"Why don't
get
you
in the barrel? Get in the barrel."
It's like the Blast Metallica.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Even if they, I'm assuming they did. I feel like it's just not in the nature of Japan or like the idea of old world alcohol producers to like flaunt what is happening. It's like the name of the distillery, the name of the whiskey, the proof, where it's from, like keeping it cut and dry, and then you figure out the rest.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
they don't provide more information.
They typically don't, other than the background. They talk about culture, which is actually a part of the rules coming up in 2024. Is you actually, if you're not classified as Japanese whiskey, you can't mention anything about Japan or Japanese culture because they want to save that for the actual Japanese whiskeys. But yeah, you won't find anything other than a little bit of culture or like history in the back. They don't do like, you're about to experience the best small batch, handcrafted, hand-selected barrel pick of all time. Like, they don't do any of that stuff, so. Those are also my favorite labels.
Very humble and very secretive at the same time
yeah.
in Japan. They like to keep secrets. They're like Italians that don't like to tell everyone.
They know they're the best, but they won't tell people about it. Yeah.
So they're like any other
Well, so
country but Italy.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
But it's just, we'll see what you think about those.
This is my first time drinking whiskey since we had Lindsay on here from Barrel.
Yeah.
Which was, 10 days ago at this point?
Yeah.
Sorry for the lapse, guys. We all died. We all get sick. This one smells great.
It's like sherry. Just the influence, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's still barley forward. It's still, reminiscent of everything else there. I think the only one that wasn't barley forward was the Shogun topper one.
Yeah.
Shogun, that was the word I was looking for before.
Because I was thinking Shingen, which is what that bottle is called, or that. But
what is it? And again,
Shogun,
but what is that? That's like, I think that's.
Is it a warrior?
I think it's like a Japanese commander, like army commander, warrior, ninja guy. I don't know. Anyway, to the whiskey. Is there an age statement on this?
I don't think so.
Nope. Ooh.
This is like
you're gonna go, bud.
I remember now.
I'm gonna say this is like the Westland of
this is definitely
Japan.
This has to be kind of peated though, isn't it?
It finishes with peat. Yeah.
It finishes. I think it's like very lightly peated.
So
I just get like the faint taint of the ashtray.
It's only in the finish, which is why I love it.
Kind of reminds me of that High West Campfire.
Yeah.
But a little more subtle than that,
mm-hmm.
honestly. Which I actually kind of like the High West Campfire.
Yeah. It's
interesting. Is all the Nikka stuff peated?
No.
Yeah, it's very.
Some of it is peated. Some of it is non-peated. Some of it is lightly peated.
The coffee grain is basically like their version of a bourbon for all.
Well, I mean this is. Ooh. I'm gonna let this sit for a second.
What were you saying?
So tonight, besides 2 other times, is the first time I've ever sat and drank Japanese whiskey. First was Nikka from the barrel, which is peated to hell, and I hated it. Then I have a Nikka coffee grain over here, which I bought, and it's just really thin and yellow, like it's like from a just like, I don't know. It's
you brought the grain, not the malt.
Correct.
Okay,
I like that one.
That's why
a lot.
And our buddy Zach likes it too. Zach Matthews likes that one a bunch too. Actually,
Zach Matthews.
Yeah, every time he's over here, he asks for the Nikka. Yeah, and Zach doesn't drink.
I was gonna say
because we tried the malt. I think.
Yeah.
And I've heard. So the reason I bought the grain one is because you had the malt one.
Yeah.
And I just didn't want to have what you had.
Yeah.
But
it's a big difference because I think it's corn.
The coffee grain is corn. The coffee malt is barley.
Yeah, I would like to try the malt.
It's pretty good. Yeah.
That one kind of just reminds me of like a thin kind of like seaweed type of taste.
Yeah, I didn't.
And like it takes me a minute too to like look at a spirit like this, and when I think whiskey, I just like I want to see more of the barrel tannins and just like that color. I want to see it. I want to see the age.
If we're thinking Scotch, we're thinking that climate. You're not going to get a ton of that.
I get that. I totally get that. But like, it's a mind over matter thing
absolutely.
for me. You know what I mean? I almost kind of wonder if we tasted these things blind, how much different that would be.
Could be.
I will say, guys, like, blind tasting is pretty fucking amazing. And when Matt gifted me that 12-day calendar to promote it on Instagram, and I know a couple other people purchased a few off of you, but
I got a text him. Sorry, I'll tell you.
No, well, I was maybe going to say the same thing. So like, I just from doing this podcast and doing blind tasting on here, like I feel like I've gotten way better and my palate's way better. I want to do it so much more often, especially after, and I'm only one sample in on that kit at this point when you guys are listening, just because I was sick, but I hit every box on that one. I was pretty proud of myself, and I won't spoil it for anybody, but like who's got it and hasn't tried it yet. But I hit every box. I named what it was. I rated it a drinker. And then our buddy, Alden, who's been on here, we talk about all the time, he called me and he goes, dude, I don't know if I could be on your show ever again. And I'm like, why? He goes, and the dude who, the first sample in there, the dude's got like 5 or 6 different bottles of this whiskey and he loves it. And he's like, yeah, I tasted the first bottle and I ranked it a stinker and I thought it was fucking gross. And then I pulled out the card and I started yelling at my girlfriend because I was so mad. And then I pulled the bottle off the shelf and I poured it next to the sample, and it tasted exactly the same. And I've been drinking and spending money on that shit for years.
Yep.
So it's just kind of funny how blind. Anyway, going back to like the mind over matter thing when you're looking at color and know what you're drinking, I just kind of wonder how this would do in a blind. If I'd be able to point it out as Japanese whiskey, and there's obviously some influence of Japanese like culture and heritage, and you can taste that in here. But I kind of wonder if we were doing it like in a single malt blind, how if I would be able to pull out that.
Yeah.
You know.
I won't read the whole text, but got a text. Someone's, I don't know if they jumped ahead or if they're going hard going hard on the box, I guess. But I just got a text saying, dude, I would have never in a million years bought this on the shelf, because I've seen it a million times, but I've never bought it, but it's insanely good, and I can't believe like how good it is. I'm gonna have to buy one next time I see it. It's like, oh,
Is it that first bottle that I'm talking about?
No.
No, it's something different. I haven't got there yet.
But I think I was like, that's exactly the point.
That's the point of doing this.
Yeah, that's exactly the point, because it's just like you don't know what you're gonna get, and you take all your bias out of it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And for people who are interested in that tasting kit that didn't get the opportunity to either buy one or win one or giveaway, we're going to be launching. We'll get to the whiskey in a second, but I want to say this before I forget. Sometime after the new year, we're going to be launching a Patreon that's going to have a couple different tiers to it. And me and Matt have talked about. I know Matt wants to do these seasonally, these 12-day calendars, but me and Matt are talking about collabing on them for you, and for Patreon members, we'll send them out to you 4 times a year. In a certain tier. I think it's going to be a $10 a month tier.
So we'll figure it out.
We'll figure that out. But keep your eyes peeled for that, guys. It's awesome. If you want to take it to the next level, it's pretty fucking incredible to actually experience wine tasting. But speaking of tasting, I'm sorry I went off on a little tangent. I think the nose on this is super pleasant. The subtle hint of peat is you can kind of get it on the nose. It's not like that chemical smoke that I got with the first one, which might not even be there. But the finish, the dryness, that kind of like, I just chain smoke cigarettes, like, you know, drunk cigs don't count type of thing. You wake up the next morning and your mouth tastes like an ashtray. Like, I actually saw a shirt someone was trying to sell on Instagram the other day. It said, drunk cigs don't count.
That's a bold move.
Yeah, it's like,
oh my God.
Yeah, and it was next to like a soccer mom t-shirt. If you swiped, it was weird. I don't know. Anyway, that subtle peat, I actually thoroughly enjoy, and I fucking hate peated stuff for all of you who know me. I love the barley forwardness. There is a little touch of sweetness and honey. I think it's really well rounded. This is absolutely my favorite one that we've had, and there's just like a good subtle hint of like fruit, but like fresh herbs, even maybe like just like some floral, Japanese floral type of rosemary, like something like that. I think that's a drinker thinker all day. I absolutely think it's fucking fantastic. So
it'd be interesting.
What was the price tag on that one?
I think that's around 100. That's actually I think it's actually the cheapest technically. That's on the table,
ridiculous.
which is insane.
I would absolutely buy it. And sorry about my squeaks, guys. My voice is still bad.
If I recall, I think you can go to the store right now. I think it's around 100. They have in Fort Wayne.
It's pretty easy to find too. Yeah,
Yeah.
guys, that's worth picking that up, especially if you're into Japanese whiskey or if you want to spoil yourself.
It is the easiest of the three to find. It is the cheapest,
and it's the best.
Doesn't
And
make
the
sense.
best.
Yeah.
Yeah, love it.
But I am actually going to go. Maybe it's indicative of Japanese whiskey. Want to think about it, but I'm actually going to go thinker drinker on this one as well.
Samesies.
Yeah, it's got fruit notes. It finishes interestingly. It's just a lot of complexity to it, but it's also very still approachable, and I got no complaints honestly about it. I wouldn't say it's the best whiskey I've ever had, but
Sure.
if that's indicative of I think the reason we didn't pick it because it's not indicative of all Japanese whiskey, but it's indicative of Nikka brand and what they're gonna have to offer. I think it's definitely a step above the rest. So
You're saying the same, Troy?
Yeah, except this is the best whiskey I've ever had.
Ever?
No, just kidding.
You guys might not know this, but Mr. Body is like full of shit. 90% of the time, he's the most sarcastic person ever. And I swear to God, if there was a world straight face competition that gave away $10 million, Troy would win it on the first day within the first hour. Everyone would get eliminated.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's definitely true.
Yeah, anyway, sorry.
I really do like it. I think the integration of peat, as subtle as it is as spot on as it could be with such negligible amounts of peat. I feel like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like they could have made a more, a bigger statement with it. They could have been a little bit more bombastic with it, but if they had, I don't think any of us would be liking it as much as we do right now. So
Yep.
I just think balance, the fruit, the stone fruits, the honey, like you said, I definitely agree with. The savory sort of earthy components to it just make it a really complex whiskey that I want to drink, but I'm probably going to have to think about it for a few minutes first. So thinker drinker it is.
Cool. I mean, that's going in, right?
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. This has been a pleasant surprise, Matt.
Yeah.
I
you
very
know,
much did not look forward to doing a Japanese whiskey episode. Just and only for the sheer fact that I don't know what the fuck to talk about, or I don't know anything
Dude,
about it.
It's whiskey, just
But-
like anything else that we love is, to be honest.
Sure.
Obviously-
I also have just not had a good experience with it either. And
Yeah.
literally
it is different.
until the fifth pour.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
It
Of course
is.
it is
It is
different.
different. I think you have to come up with a Scotch mindset. I think if you come out from a bourbon mindset, I don't think you'll like most Japanese whiskey at all.
I almost kind of wonder too, like, you know, when you go to Japan, there's Blantons and fucking, you know, Buffalo Trace that's probably proof down and stuff like that. But like, what, you know, here you walk into a liquor store and it looks like my shelf, right? There's just a ton of selection. Kind of wonder, like, you know, these are the two main proprietary Japanese whiskeys you find in the stores in America. You just kind of wonder what the selection is over there, and if it's that popular, you know.
Yeah. So they said they import. I think it says I forget the percentage, but they export most of their whiskey.
Interesting.
For all these, and they have like low shelfer, like more approachable, even lower proof than these that are the most popular with the Japanese people as a whole. But they typically, they said, I think it's like a large portion of Japanese whiskey actually is used for cocktails. So like a Japanese highball or whatever cocktails is mostly what they're all used for. They don't drink. They typically don't drink it neat because a lot of it is, you know, whatever. But yeah, most of it is in cocktails. So.
And speaking of other Suntory products too, like the Toki,
Yep.
is like probably my number one favorite Japanese cocktail whiskey.
It's a
Yeah.
old fashioned. We had my Nawa. Whew.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You could do so much with
Yeah.
it. I mean, you could incorporate fruit into them, like shaken cocktails. Really good foundation for whiskey cocktails. And they also have the Hibiki,
Yep.
which I haven't seen in a long time.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
So that's what the other one I was going to bring is the Harmony,
Yeah, the
which
Harmony,
I love.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, we
it's
used
a blend, and I don't think they get all from Japan. So.
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah.
Yeah, we used to do that at I think I might have even talked about this on the podcast once, but a tableside cocktail with Hibiki Harmony as the base, and we would do like a play on the penicillin.
Oh, you did talk about that, yeah.
Yeah, we would like
Interesting.
use an atomizer with like a peated scotch.
So,
And-
like, what is the Japanese highball? What are like some go-to Japanese cocktails?
I don't know.
Do you
want me to-
take like a more of a
What do you
Scotchy approach with that stuff?
I mean, not
Like you mentioned like a
necessarily.
penicillin, like
Well, penicillin for the Hibiki Harmony, that was so that like the Hibiki Harmony was the base, and then just a spritz of a peated scotch, and it just kind of, you know, made sense
sure.
with the flavor profile of the Hibiki. But I don't know. I mean, traditional Japanese
So this
cocktails.
says
what do you
a
got?
Japanese highball is a bubbly cocktail starring Japanese whiskey and sparkling water.
Yeah.
It's impressive and easy to drink. So I think, like I said, a lot of this is light, delicate.
Yeah, I could.
It's
I
supposed to
could
be
drink that with
supposed to
some
go with a
seltzer.
lot of things.
A highball is what? Just whiskey
And soda.
So this says
I mean,
one,
highball in general is a spirit and soda. and
one
sometimes
part,
fruit.
1 part Japanese whiskey, 4 parts club soda or soda water, then a lemon wedge.
and a lemon wedge.
That's it.
Okay.
Yeah. lemon.
I mean, that does sound delicious.
Yeah,
Simple.
The one they use here is actually with the Nikka coffee grain.
interesting.
Interestingly
Yeah.
enough.
All right,
I think we should try it. We could do like Japanese cocktails. Like just try to see how this holds up in
we
cocktails.
should do
I
world
wonder-
cocktails. We should do world whiskey cocktails.
Yeah.
anything but bourbon and rye, and
Interesting.
we should do that. But speaking of things we should do coming up, we have an episode doing MGP whiskey, which is 70% of probably what you guys drink, and you don't even know it. MGP is the largest distillery in America. It's right here in Indiana, and it's one of the largest, if not the largest, sourcing distillers, contract distillers out there, essentially, for every major brand, startup brands. I mean, just about everyone at some point or another, unless you're a legacy brand here in America for bourbon or rye. I mean, you probably source something from there. So we're going to, we haven't really dialed in what we're going to do, but we're going to drink MGP. We're going to talk about it. So
We also have another episode of a cocktail doctor coming up too.
we do, submitted by our good friend Chuck Davis. That's his jazz
Charlie
name.
the Chuck Davis.
Yeah, that's his jazz name. Anyway, really appreciate you guys. And the the subscribes, the likes, the follows, all that stuff has been awesome. But we want to give our stuff away. It's that time of year, and just to kind of show some appreciation for how fast this thing has grown in this 10-month span that we've been doing it. So yeah, we're giving away a ton of stuff throughout the whole month of December. Like I said, we did the calendar. We're doing some airplane bottles of good stuff. We have a Yarrow Pro cocktail smoker kit going out with some homemade old-fashioned syrup by yours truly with a bottle of Elijah Craig's small batch. We have a bottle of McKenna going out with a swag pack. And then the big monthly giveaway announced on January 1st is a bottle of Weller 12. So just make sure you're following along on Instagram and I think on Facebook too, that some of that stuff's probably popping up in there.
Yeah.
And just follow the rules, submit. It's a random drawing. You never know. So just give it a shot, and we'll send you out some stuff. So anyone else got anything?
I think that's about it.
All right. Well, until next time, Troy, lead us out.
Hi. Yodelay.